It is not possible to use a standard incandescent dimmer switch to dim a fluorescent fixture that is equipped with an electronic ballast. Electronic ballast and traditional dimmers are incompatible technologies. A standard dimmer works by chopping the alternating current waveform, reducing the average power delivered to the load, which in the case of an incandescent bulb, reduces its brightness. Electronic ballasts, however, require a clean, consistent power supply to function correctly. Feeding them a chopped or distorted waveform from a standard dimmer can damage the ballast or cause it to malfunction. The intended way to dim a fluorescent fixture with an electronic ballast is to replace the existing ballast with a specialized dimmable ballast. These dimmable ballasts are specifically designed to work with dimming control signals, often using a 0 to 10 volts direct current control signal to regulate the light output. A dimming control signal is interpreted by the dimmable ballast to adjust the power delivered to the fluorescent lamp, thereby changing its brightness. This method ensures compatibility and proper operation of the fluorescent fixture. To replace the ballast, it is very important to follow a series of steps to ensure your safety and the proper installation of the new dimmable ballast. Firstly, and most importantly, turn off the power to the fluorescent fixture at the circuit breaker or fuse box. This is a crucial safety precaution to prevent electrical shock during the replacement process. Secondly, remove the diffuser or lens from the fluorescent fixture. This will allow you to access the ballast and the wiring connections inside the fixture. Thirdly, locate the existing ballast within the fixture. The ballast is typically a rectangular metal box that is mounted inside the fixture housing. It may be black or grey in color. Fourthly, carefully disconnect the wires from the existing ballast. Take note of the wire colors and their corresponding connections to the ballast. This will help you to connect the wires correctly to the new dimmable ballast. It may also be helpful to take a picture of the wiring before disconnecting it. Fifthly, remove the old ballast from the fixture. The ballast may be attached to the fixture with screws or clips. Sixthly, install the new dimmable ballast in the fixture. Secure it in place using the same screws or clips that were used to hold the old ballast. Seventhly, connect the wires to the new dimmable ballast, matching the wire colors and connections that you noted earlier. Make sure that the connections are secure. Eighthly, replace the diffuser or lens on the fixture. Ninthly, turn the power to the fixture back on at the circuit breaker or fuse box. Once the new dimmable ballast has been installed, you will be able to control the brightness of the fluorescent fixture using a compatible dimmer switch. It is crucial to use a dimmer switch that is specifically designed for use with dimmable ballasts. Standard incandescent dimmers will not work correctly and may damage the ballast or cause it to malfunction. The most common type of dimmer switch used with dimmable ballast is a 0 to 10 volts direct current dimmer. This type of dimmer sends a control signal to the ballast, which adjusts the light output accordingly. These dimmable ballasts typically have 5 wires. The black and white wires connect to the 120 volts alternating current power, a blue and a grey wire which are the 0 to 10 volts direct current dimming wires, and a green or bare copper wire for ground. Understanding fluorescent lighting systems is important. Fluorescent lamps require a ballast to regulate the current flowing through the lamp. The ballast provides the high voltage needed to start the lamp and then limits the current to maintain a stable light output. There are 2 main types of ballasts: magnetic ballasts and electronic ballasts. Magnetic ballasts are older technology and are less energy efficient than electronic ballasts. Electronic ballasts are more efficient and provide better light quality. Dimmable ballasts are a type of electronic ballast that are specifically designed to be used with dimmer switches. The 0 to 10 volts direct current dimming method works by varying a direct current voltage signal between 0 volts and 10 volts. 0 volts corresponds to the minimum light output, while 10 volts corresponds to the maximum light output. The dimmable ballast interprets the direct current voltage signal and adjusts the power delivered to the fluorescent lamp accordingly. This allows for smooth and continuous dimming of the fluorescent light. When selecting a dimmable ballast, it is important to choose one that is compatible with the type of fluorescent lamp being used. There are different types of fluorescent lamps, such as T12, T8, and T5 lamps, and each type requires a specific type of ballast. It is also important to choose a ballast that is rated for the correct voltage and wattage. The voltage and wattage ratings should match the specifications of the fluorescent fixture. If you're unsure about which type of dimmable ballast to choose, consult with a qualified electrician or lighting specialist. They can help you select the appropriate ballast for your specific application. Additionally, local electrical codes and regulations should always be followed when working with electrical wiring and lighting systems. These codes are in place to ensure the safety of individuals and property. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides comprehensive guidelines for electrical installations. It is important to familiarize yourself with the NEC and any local amendments before undertaking any electrical work. For example, NEC Article 410.130 G1 C covers the requirements for dimming systems, including the use of listed dimming ballasts. It is also important to use appropriate wiring methods and materials when installing a dimmable ballast. All wiring should be properly sized and insulated, and connections should be made using approved connectors. Grounding is also essential for electrical safety. The fluorescent fixture should be properly grounded to prevent electric shock. The grounding conductor should be connected to the grounding terminal on the ballast and to the building's grounding system. If you are not comfortable working with electrical wiring, it is always best to hire a qualified electrician to perform the installation. An electrician has the knowledge and experience to ensure that the work is done safely and correctly. In addition to replacing the ballast, you may also need to replace the dimmer switch to ensure compatibility with the new dimmable ballast. As mentioned earlier, a 0 to 10 volts direct current dimmer is the most common type of dimmer switch used with dimmable ballasts. These dimmers are available at most hardware stores and home improvement centers. When installing a 0 to 10 volts direct current dimmer, it is important to follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The dimmer will typically have terminals for connecting the power wires, the load wires, and the 0 to 10 volts direct current control wires. The control wires should be connected to the corresponding terminals on the dimmable ballast. It is also important to set the dimming range on the dimmer switch. The dimming range determines the minimum and maximum light output levels. The dimming range should be set according to the desired lighting effect. Some dimmable ballasts also have adjustable settings that can be used to fine-tune the dimming performance. These settings may include the minimum light level, the maximum light level, and the dimming curve. The dimming curve determines how the light output changes as the dimmer switch is adjusted. By adjusting these settings, you can customize the dimming performance to suit your specific needs. The cost of replacing a fluorescent ballast with a dimmable ballast can vary depending on the type of ballast, the brand, and the location. However, in general, dimmable ballasts are more expensive than standard ballasts. The cost of a 0 to 10 volts direct current dimmer switch can also vary, but they are typically more affordable than dimmable ballasts. When considering the cost of dimming a fluorescent fixture, it is important to weigh the benefits against the costs. Dimmable lighting can provide a number of benefits, such as energy savings, increased comfort, and improved aesthetics. However, it is also important to consider the initial cost of the dimmable ballast and dimmer switch, as well as the cost of installation. If you are looking for the easiest and cheapest way to dim a fluorescent fixture, replacing the ballast with a dimmable ballast and installing a 0 to 10 volts direct current dimmer is generally the most practical option. This method provides a safe, reliable, and effective way to control the brightness of your fluorescent lights. Remember to always follow safety precautions when working with electrical wiring and to consult with a qualified electrician if you are not comfortable performing the installation yourself. Furthermore, consider the specific application and lighting requirements when selecting a dimmable ballast and dimmer switch. By carefully considering these factors, you can create a dimmable fluorescent lighting system that meets your needs and enhances your space. When replacing the ballast, ensure that the replacement ballast has the same wiring diagram as the original. Variations may exist. Some ballasts may require a different number of wires to be connected, or may have different voltage requirements or be connected in a specific order. If there is a grounding wire, make sure this is attached to ground to prevent electric shock. Different voltages are used in the United States. Common voltages are 120 volts, 208 volts, 240 volts, 277 volts, and 480 volts. A 120 volt system typically uses a neutral wire which is white. A 208 volts, 240 volts, 277 volts, and 480 volt system typically does not use a neutral wire. The voltage rating of the ballast and dimmer must match the supply voltage to avoid damage to the device. The wire size must also be correct to avoid overheating of the wires. NEC Table 310.15. B16 provides guidance on the ampacity of conductors based on their size and insulation type. Using the wrong wire size can create a fire hazard. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician for any electrical work.